At Right On Replicas, we take pride in providing you with the best scale model reviews on the planet. But if you want to see every review, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This review covers the 1983 Hurst Olds by Revell, molded in 1/25 scale. The kit's all new tooling and has no previous releases. Revell rates this as skill level 4 and because it requires glue and paint for assembly. It doesn't have a high parts count with only 94 pieces, but it's very well detailed, and it only makes one version, so that kind of indicates why it has a lower piece count. It's molded in white, chrome, clear red vinyl, and has some metal axle pins with water slide decals and a book style instruction sheet. The motor's nicely detailed. The chassis is in multiple parts for added detail, and the interior is well done with multiple parts for ease of detailing there. The body's straight and clean, has glass that installs from the outside. Overall assembly is easy and straightforward, and most of the body is assembled prior to painting. The decals are full with all the body stripes, interior gauges, and body details. Here are the decals for this build. The quality is very high and the color registry is good. There's a small carrier around each decal, and they float easily and set quickly. I find it preferable to use a setting solution for decals, especially long, thin ones like the stripes on this model. And I've normally used Microset and Microsol from Microscale Industries because it's compatible with most of the decal manufacturers I've found. Assembly starts with the motor, and you can put most of that together prior to paint. So assemble the block, the heads, front cover, and the transmission pan. Paint the block semi-gloss black and the transmission aluminum. The oil filter is white with a semi-gloss black mount, and the carb is brass. The intake is steel. The starter is black with a brass solenoid, and the belt is a rubber with black pulleys. The air conditioning unit is a semi-gloss black. The air pump is aluminum. Alternator is aluminum, and the power steering is flat. Fan is black as well. The distributor is assembled and painted black too, and the exhaust manifolds are steel, and the air cleaner is semi-gloss black. Now attach the oil filter to the right rear, the intake to the top, the carb to the intake, the starter to the left rear, the distributor to the top rear, the air cleaner to the carb, and the exhaust manifolds to each head. And on the belt, add it to the back of the AC unit, power steering, then the alternator and the air pump go in place. On the belt front, add the fan, and install the belt to the motor's front. For a nicely finished model, you may want to remove the copyright script on the gas tank and the chassis pan. See the red circles here. Next, install the radiator, and after you've removed the copyright script, paint the whole thing flat black, and highlight the frame with a semi-gloss black and the gas tank as a steel color. Paint the front suspension unit semi-gloss black. Now glue the suspension piece into place in the sockets provided. Paint the exhaust pipe steel and the mufflers aluminum with a copper tone on the catalytic converter. The crossover pipe and connection pipes are steel too. Install the crossover pipe on the motor and add the connection pipe to the catalytic converter and install the mufflers. Paint the springs flat black and highlight the coils with steel color. Now the shocks can be just about any color you want, red, yellow, black, blue, whatever you like. Then paint the sway bar and the axle semi-gloss black. Now install the springs and install the axle and insert the drive shaft into the transmission simultaneously. Add the sway bar to the axle and add the shocks to the sway bar. I like to give the tires a worn look by pressing and rolling the tread on a sheet of 220 grit sandpaper. This roughs up the tread and removes the shine. Now paint the inner area of the spokes and the recesses and lug nuts with steel. Insert the rims into the tire. These tires are non-directional, so there's no location specification for them. They can go anywhere on any rim. Now insert a metal pin into the retainer and glue the retainer only to the rim back, allowing the pin to spin freely. Then insert a metal pin into the hole on each axle, installing a tire onto each axle there. Here you see the tires in place. I use a drop of super glue on the pin to hold the tire on the car. Now you have a completed rolling chassis for your build. Now we'll start the interior tub. Assemble the front seat halves together and paint the outside of the interior tub a flat black. The seats, door panels, and inside of the tub are painted a flat maroon. Detail the pedals with black and steel, and the shifter plate is semi-gloss black. The door panels have aluminum and black trim on them, and on the shifter, paint the knobs black and install the shifter. I wanted my car to have carpet like the real one, so I used some craft flocking from the hobby store and sifted it out to get some good stuff to apply to the base. Using some white glue, just paint a thin layer of glue on the area that you want flocked, leaving some of it open for gluing in the seats. And then cover the area densely and pack it tightly on there. Then shake off the loose stuff and it'll be done when it's dry. I also added some custom floor mats to this model. Searched the internet for some car mats and came up with some images to apply to some black paper. I printed those out with a color printer on some black paper, cut them out, and applied them into place with some white glue. Glue the interior panels and the interior seats into the pan. Now gather the parts for the dashboard and paint the dashboard flat maroon like the interior with a flat black instrument panel. The radio panel is flat black with aluminum knobs, and the dash trim is an aluminum. Now insert the clear instrument bezel and add the decal to the back side so that the dials show through the holes in the instrument panel. The column is also painted flat maroon like the interior, and it has a flat black inset. Also, at this time, install the steering wheel onto the column and the column to the dash. Here is a rear view looking forward towards the dash on your newly completed interior. Now you can begin to prepare the body for assembly by gathering all the panels and assembling them prior to paint. The red arrows here are pointing to the holes that you'll need to open up if you're going to assemble the spoiler to the rear deck. There is one error in this kit. The instructions indicate that the front fascia on the bumper has a full spoiler for the lower additional spoiler that lines up with it on the add-on side moldings, but the bumper in the kit is different and does not have the fascia molded in. There is a part that's not marked on the instructions that is added onto the front to finish the air dam. While it's incorrect to the box art and the instructions, it is technically correct for the actual car. So use this piece and it will replicate a more correct version of the real car. The front bumper, air dam, and moldings are shown in place here on the front. The mirrors are attached and the rear bumper is installed. The only loose part is the hood, as it will range free after painting. So wet sand the body, removing any minor parting lines with some 800 grit paper, and wash the parts. Once they're dry, you're ready to prime the body. Use some tape to secure the hood into place on the body from the underside, and then primer the hood and the body completely on the inside and the outside. Once it's cured, wet sand the parts with some fine sandpaper and wash them off. Then make sure that you remove any blemishes that you see and that the paint surface is smooth. When it's dry, you can go to painting. The Hurst Olds had a two-tone paint scheme. That means there are two main colors on the body. Always start with the lighter color first, and here the rocker panels and lower part of the car are painted silver. You can just use a regular base silver paint. Using a high-quality vinyl tape like this 3M fine line tape from the automotive paint supply store for the main edge lines, and a low-tack masking tape for the broader areas, mask off the areas to remain silver. This will give you a crisp edge with no tape residue because it's a vinyl tape and it has the ability to stretch and conform to any curves. Now paint the darker second color, which is a gloss black. Then unmask the tape and repair any blemishes you might have at the tape line. Now that the paint has dried, it's time to start applying the decals. The trickiest ones will be those thin divider decals, the red stripes along the body. Be patient, use a lot of water, and let them float into position. I also recommend using some of the microset to begin that process by putting a little on with a brush and then flowing them over the top of the decal as you move them into position. After that sets, you can use the microsol to really make that decal conform to the body contours. Once those are in place, leave them alone so that you don't disturb them until they dry. The window trim is well defined on this model, so it's easy to just use a silver Sharpie and highlight all of the window moldings. The window glass for this kit is exceptionally thin compared to normal kits, and makes for exceptionally good-looking windows when properly prepared. But take care not to crack or damage them because they break easily. I used a product from Alclad 2 Lacquers called Transparent Smoke to put a window tint on my windows. You prepare the windows by cleaning them thoroughly and then masking the outside off. Then you spray 1 or 2 light coats and 1 more for a darker tint on the inside of the window. It dries quickly and leaves a see-through tint on the window that has no bubbles or blemishes. It looks real. I think the tint looks really good on this car with its glossy black finish. If you really want a great looking set of glass in your car, dip them into some floor polish first and let them drip dry, wicking off any excess. It really makes it look thinner and crisp. After you've dipped the parts in the floor polish, set them upright on a piece of paper toweling and then cover them up so that they don't collect dust as they're drying. Use some white glue around the edges and install the glass from the outside of the body. Paint the brake booster black with a steel cylinder and a copper reservoir. The back side of the mirror and the wiper motor are also black. Install the wiper motor and the brake booster unit onto the firewall and the mirror to the headliner inside the car. Glue the interior into place by lining up the tabs shown by the arrows with the pins on the back of the tub and the inside of the body. Install the chassis by carefully shoehorning it into place into the body very slowly. Start at the back corner and work around the whole chassis until it snaps into the body. It did not need glue, and there is a notch in the rear of the chassis that fits into the rear bumper when it's properly installed. Paint the clean air duct flat black and install it from the radiator wall to the air cleaner. The radiator hose is painted a rubber color and detail it with some aluminum paint to make it look like it has clamps, and attach that to the motor and the radiator. Paint the headlight bezels aluminum and using some white glue for the lenses install the headlights. Now add the running light lenses to the bumper and install the mirror faces. It's fun to add custom plates to your car, so we looked for an image to print out on a color printer on a piece of regular paper and used a little white glue to secure it to the license plate area in the back of the vehicle. We'll also add the tail lights to the bezels here with some white glue. That completes the construction on this model, and she sure looks good. This is a great offering from Revell. They've done a great job on fit and finish, and there was a real surprise with the thin glass applied from the outside as it looks much more realistic. The motor built up real well, the chassis was easy to assemble, the interior was detailed, and the dash was easy to highlight. The body was blemish free and the parts fit tight, even the hood was a perfect fit. There was only one issue with the whole thing, and that was the bumper. The instructions in the box art show a solid front bumper, but actually the part is a two-piece unit. The actual car has 2 pieces, so the real parts actually represent the real car more than the box art does, and that can confuse a beginner. But overall, this is a really great kit that fills a void in the modeler's collections. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any more premium quality reviews. And we also have a presence on Facebook, and you can find us at our website, www.rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.